problem is, and I saw it again yesterday, Americans are offering. It's like the Victor Bout dude is really bad.
This guy is not one that you want to let
really
go.
bad, and it's like,
in fact,
they're offering.
He only has like another 14 years on his sentence, and you're thinking that's not enough.
No.
Right? This guy went out of his way to find the most heinous people that hated Americans more than, the life itself, and were willing to do anything. They were willing to wear this stuff and just roll into whatever building they could to blow up as many Americans as possible. This was the kind of guys that this Victor Bout was seeking out. All right? You couldn't have a more heinous criminal. It sounds. I don't mean to make light of this, but it is true that trading Brittany Griner as a political prisoner for Victor Bout is worse, more lopsided than Joe Barry Carroll for the chief and the rights to Kevin McHale. Who's making this deal? Red Auerbach for the Russians? My God!
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Imagine that. Red had him throwing the rights to Kevin McHale. Unbelievable. As part of that deal to get the chief for Joe Barry Carroll, who really didn't do too much. I guess he had a modestly successful career. Joe Barry Carroll, he wasn't a total bust. Wasn't anything special. Kind of up there with Chris Washburn. No, he was better than Chris Washburn. Number 3 overall pick that's always pointed to as a draft disaster. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good to be with you on this fine Wednesday here on South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest and Michael Lubitz. I saw Lubie last night physically for the first time in about a week or so. Looking good, kid. You were doing your trivia thing over there at the Vega Lounge in Pompano Beach with the professor who was just coming off a horrifying trip to Costa Rica. I'm not sure if he's going to address that. I don't know that he can avoid addressing that on Friday's Degenerate Friday show.
No.
Because it did involve an element of degeneracy that, unfortunately for him, did not work out favorably, which was that the casino at the very expensive resort that he was staying at was closed. And that triggered a series of events that led to just absolutely catastrophic type of stuff. So, not financially, but maybe you could say physically and mentally, he came back a shot fighter. He really is from Costa Rica. Some people come back with tales of just incredible stamina. Maybe they, had 14 different women that they were with while they were there. Well, I don't know. Women, I guess, I don't know. What's the age cutoff to start considering a girl a woman? I don't know, because I'm not really into any of that stuff. I mean, it may seem like that would have been my bag, but it never was. I don't know that I would feel comfortable surveying or eyeballing a field of 16-year-olds and thinking, hey, I'm going to have sex here while I'm in Costa Rica. Not really my bag. I mean, I know a lot of guys probably like that. That's fine. We are not Judge Judy here on the show. We're not judgmental.
I'm American, so I have my own social standards. We started 18, and like you and I have talked about, even 18's young. Like, I'm a grown
18,
man.
Wow.
Like, I feel like 22 and up.
You know my math on the relationship stuff.
I know.
And I relayed this to Mike Mayo when all of a sudden the attention of a very young woman was being sent his way. And he bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. And, nothing really happened. There was nothing of any great significance there except, she was being flirtatious. And he thought, wow, I got a shot here. He just turned 56. And I believe this formula to be absolutely as pristine and just inherently true as any mathematical formula that you could ever come up with. I believe this formula is foolproof. All right, Lubie? And we've discussed it before. If you're an older guy and you're thinking about going out with a younger woman, what is the Mendoza line? What is the lowest age of a woman that you should engage in any kind of a relationship with? All right? And it's very simple. You take your age, you divide it in half, and you add 7 years. Don't ask me how we came up with this. I was able to answer calculus problems without really knowing how to solve them because we had some trick method that I had learned at a very young age. And so, it looked like I was a math whiz, but the truth was I had no fucking idea what I was doing. All right, so, but think about it for a second. All right, so if you're a 60-year-old guy, all right, you guys that are out there just turned 60. I just turned 60. Think I'll go out there and try and pick up some babes. If you're serious, the bottom line, I mean, the very lowest barometer that you should go to then would be a 37-year-old woman. Don't go 36. Don't go 35. Don't be thinking about somebody in their 20s. So for Mayo at 56, okay, that's an easy one. 28, you had 7. A 35-year-old should be the lowest age that he considers having a relationship with. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. It's going nowhere. You're wasting your time, and you're robbing the cradle, and forget about it. All right, and this is an advantage. I mean, women have complained about this for centuries, right? Where guys get older, and their field expands in terms of the women that might be available to them and willing to be with them in relationships. You are 60 years old. There you go. You really have to decide. Okay, she's only 36. Do I go against the Defo formula? Pythagorean theorem? Holy Rene Descartes. No way, man. I mean, you have to tell her right there, straight up, when you find out she's 36 and your bottom line is 37. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I think you're wonderful. You're brilliant. I know you're destined to have tremendous success and probably could satisfy me my entire life. But Defo said, take my age, divide it in half, add 7 years, and I'm not going underneath that bar. I'm just not crossing the Mendoza line for men in that category, and you'll be successful. Correct? I mean, that's the way it goes. So,
I know there's countries that's different, but again, you are born and raised with what your country has, and ours is 18. And again, like you said, when you get older, you bump that up. So some of the ages that he didn't know ages, but he's like, yeah, looking at some of these women, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a 71-year-old guy like me should not be banging some 14-year-old because I'm in Costa Rica. I'm sorry. Go fishing. Do something. Whitewater Rapids. Find another activity.
Please.
But surveying the field of like 60 girls that are waiting outside the hotel there or whatever it is in this one district. I've never been to Costa Rica, so I can't say. Yeah. And after hearing the professor's horror story, I don't know that I have any desire to go. I had an opportunity to go about a year ago, and the trip got canceled for COVID restrictions or something a couple of years ago, and I never ended up going. And I'm okay with that. You know what? It always sounded like a good place to go. I've heard it described by many people as one of their favorite haunts anywhere on the planet. If you're a fisherman, certainly it's something to consider. But and gambling degenerates loved it, and of course, guys that enjoy that sort of thing. Which, as we said, we're not judgmental here on the show. It's not like you're watching the Ron DeSantis show here. You're watching the Defo show with Jeff DeForest and a very liberal-minded and open-minded Mike Lubie Lubitz. Yeah. You used to be much more conservative, almost to a fascist proportion, but now you've really seen the light here.
I'm liberal, but on certain things, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. This wasn't a mistake. It was kind of an interesting experiment. I knew what was going to happen when I put that thing up about Naked and Afraid Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, God. Yeah, but you were more right than I thought you'd be. Like, I didn't think it'd go that. People were like yelling at me. Like, what are you talking about?
People come out of the woodwork here, these Trump fanatics, and they're absolutely crazy. I mean, it's okay. If you love this guy, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, and you know what? That's why people have a vote, okay? I'm going to vote the other way, and if you want to vote for Donald Trump because you thought it was wonderful when he was president, go ahead and do that. What am I going to do? I'm going to stand outside and smack you in the face when you come out of the voting booth? No, I don't care. It's your vote. That's why we have a vote. Mm-hmm. The majority rules in most cases, unless, of course, it's not aligned with the Electoral College, which nobody can figure out what the reason for that is. And otherwise, we would have never had to deal with this shit in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay? I mean, it's not simple. Now, in general, and I told Lubie this when he was in tears, he was shattered when Trump won the presidency.
Oh, yeah, no, it was bad. I yelled at our boss.
In 2016, and he was screaming and psychotic. I mean, just really out of his mind. And I said, you know what? In general, in my experience, and I've been very disappointed in presidential electoral results, many, many times, right? I mean, I just thought, oh, my God, this is a disaster. But, regardless, I mean, because there's a turnover every 4 years or the possibility of it, or at the most 8, there's only so much damage that one guy in general can do during that period of time. Even if he's totally inept, right? I mean, most people feel that Jimmy Carter was one of the most ineffective presidents and a disastrous reign as president of the United States. Now, he was an extremely likable guy and remains so to this day. A real low-key guy. He had the hillbilly brother who was kind of a comedic figure. But, there wasn't this kind of electrically charged, divisive animosity that exists among the factions here that support one or the other. But for the life of me, and this always amazes me. So I throw this thing up there on Facebook. It gets, I don't know, like 130 responses, something like that. Most from the same couple of people. There was only
Yeah.
really a handful of people that were just fighting with each other in this thread where, the Trumpsters came out there and said, yeah, 4 more years, this was the greatest thing ever, which I still fail to see. I just do. As just a plain unbiased observer. I don't know. I know the economy was good at that time. Was
Well, that
that
wasn't him.
just a byproduct of
Yes.
the cyclical nature of these things? So look, all of a sudden, all prices are falling again. Now, did Biden suddenly wake up and became a better coach?
Yeah.
That's the thing they always say in sports, right? Hey, did this guy just forget how to coach? Right? He's in the Hall of Fame. He's headed there anyway. Now he's 2-14, and you think he sucks? It's possible, yeah, that he does suck, or that he was lucky his entire. It's possible. Anything is within the realm of
Yes.
possibilities if you can conjure it up. Now, I mean, was that's great? Okay, so the economy was good. I'll agree. You know what? It was nice when you were paying $1.60 or whatever it was, $1.80 for gas. I don't know how much of that what was Donald Trump's direct
Zero.
responsibility. What I saw was a guy that couldn't handle anything
Yep.
and really could give a flying one about anybody but himself,
Yep.
including this Michael Cohen cat, who he let rot in prison while all of his other buddies that had actually been guilty of criminal offenses, he pardoned them. And even other guys that he had nothing to do with that had committed horrible crimes against society in terms of abuse of power, he let those guys out of jail too.
Yep.
While the guy that went to bat for him, that was writing the checks to Stormy Daniels and doing all of his dirty work, and really, almost was like George Clooney in that movie where he was a cooler, or a cleanup guy,
Yep.
a laundryman or whatever you want to call him. He just let him rot in jail until he finally, got out, with the COVID stuff, but turned his back on the guy that really had done his dirty work. I mean, it reminds you of the old Steely Dan song, right? I don't want to do your dirty work no more. Now, that's not my kind of guy. I'm sorry. It just isn't. I have a distaste for that sort of person, and I've always not, I was never a fan of Trump because he always impressed me as just a braggadocio schmank who made a lot of money and flaunted that and seemed to have a blatant disregard. And this is what I don't get. The number of women that are in love with the idea of Trump becoming president again as if it's going to save the country. And you see this, and a lot of the responses are from women, and you're
Yep.
thinking, and some of whom I know personally as being very intelligent women, and you're thinking, what is it they see in this man? No one had a more blatant disregard for women than
Whole
Donald
life.
Trump. A
His whole life.
demonstrated blatant disregard for women. He's having an affair with a porn star while he's his wife is
Pregnant.
like a week away from delivering a baby. I mean, this is the Melania, the love of his life. All right, which you don't see her around too much anymore, do you? Have you noticed that?
You never saw her around. Look,
Yeah.
what's interesting to me about this, and it's not even talking politics because
Yeah, right. This is just an observance of a guy. Period.
with people fuming. My thing is, I've never been that loyal to any politician. Like, I agree with the Republicans that say, "Oh, they're all criminals." They are. So that's my thing
Could
is to
be.
be this
Yeah.
loyal. Look, I love Bill Clinton. When the Epstein stuff came out, I was like, "Yeah, it's a little creepy." Like I didn't go, "Well, there's really a thing behind." No, it was with Epstein, probably doing some gross stuff, and I can't fight that. Like, I don't understand this idea of treating it like it's even sports teams. Like, I've never been a blind fan. You know me. You make fun of me for being a
Yeah.
Knicks fan. Like, I don't understand supporting anyone blindly. Like, you can be there for family, but I still would be like, that was sort of douchey what you did. Like,
Well, I
I don't
mean,
understand this. Like,
the thing that strikes me is, all right, let's say that this guy's policies were so brilliant, Einstein-esque, okay? And you just looked at everything that he had going and everything he said. You said, "My God, that is like a genius idea. That this is a guy with the right ideas to get this country going in the right direction." But as a human being, he's just a despicable asshole, and always has been. And I don't know
yes,
what he's done that has these women just absolutely fawning all over the idea that they're going to bring him back as president, while senile old Joe Biden needs to be put out to pasture, which that may well be true. Okay, look, could you find somebody a little bit more dynamic than Joe Biden to run the country? I would think so in the United States of America.
hope so.
I'm not going to argue that. Joe Biden is the Joe Philbin of presidents.
100%.
Actually, Philbin was more exciting. Philbin would have been Action Joe compared to Joe Biden. people from other parts of the country or around the world that happen to be tuning in
Oh
saying,
my
who the hell
God.
is Joe Philbin? He
Yeah.
was the vapid coach of the Miami Dolphins, where nobody could figure out how on earth this guy got the job with a personality that was right up there with a scallop. All right. Not exactly what you would think was a huge motivator of men.
Oh my God.
So and my theory would be this. I mean, anybody, if this guy's ideas were brilliant, I still the fact that it's him is what
Yeah.
bothers me. Okay, just a disgusting fool, has been that way his entire life, and remains so to this day. I mean, making a whole presentation about just being completely indignant to virtually everybody, including, I mean, making fun of like crippled people. I mean,
Yeah.
while he's doing a campaign speech, just disgusting.
It was look, it's parody stuff. Like that's why I play this stuff.
It's
The
comedy.
and
It really is. Yeah, yeah, it really is. It's comedy.
you can see him saying that line like 100%. Like,
So yeah, I mean, you may not believe in the route that the Democrats are taking. That's fine. Vote in some Republicans, but not this schmuck. I mean,
yeah.
I don't see what the fascination is, and for women to be behind them. I don't know how any self-respecting woman, and it amazes me if you look at that thread on my Facebook page, if
I
you happen to
know,
be
I know.
on
Right?
there, it's like women all saying, "Oh my God, you know what? The country's falling apart, and we really need this guy to come and save it." Guy, I mean, they don't necessarily just blindly impeach a guy. I mean, they never really set that up correctly. It didn't seem like that they were going to get. There was no way it was going to happen, right? Because they were facing being in the minority, that
Mhm.
people that were putting Trump up for impeachment. But I mean, when you look at the stuff that went on, come on, it was nothing but chaos. Pure and unadulterated chaos for the entire time, including leading up to the ultimate chaos where people got hurt and killed. The
Yes.
January 6th Capitol insurrection, which, if that wasn't inspired by Donald Trump, then who was it that really kind of motivated these people to come to Washington, D.C.? Rudy Giuliani?
Yeah, right. No one's following Rudy.
And then there's video of the guy sitting there like an asshole while all this violence is taking place,
Watching
and
it.
a disgrace to the country. And while his own family is begging this guy, please say something, do something, call these dogs off, he's like, they love me.
Yeah, it's like what's her name with the Academy Award speech.
What a fucking ass. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get overly.
Yeah,
But like I said, I mean, look, it's not like I'm sitting here trying to tell you, wow, Joe Biden's the answer.
no, he's old and senile.
When the
I'm the first person
Democrats
to say
decided to run Biden, I was like, oh my God, anybody but this guy would win this election.
that, honestly.
What's he ever done? Nothing.
No, no.
All right. So anyway, I mean, it amazes me though that women are so absolutely in adulation of Donald Trump as a possible leader of the United States of America, when there's nobody that's been more blatantly disrespectful to women that's in the public eye that we know of, that isn't absolutely under immense scrutiny for the very same things than Donald Trump with his grab him by the pussy remark. I mean, please. And putting these people, these extreme right wingers on the Supreme Court, who, I mean, that was, it seemed like one of his agendas was to
Yes.
get this Roe versus Wade shot down, rights that women have had for 50 years. That, you know what, if you don't want to have an abortion, nobody is telling you that you have to have one. It's not like the law says, listen, no matter what, you have to have an. It's your choice. It's called choice. It's called freedom. And, those things shouldn't be decided along religious grounds, because what religion are we
Yeah.
using as the grounds to make these decisions?
who
And
told
what
you
happened to the
that?
separation of church and state? I mean, come on. So all of these people, I mean, and you can't argue with them. I mean, I don't put anything up there, no comments. I didn't even fire back. Like, people are saying, hey, you know what? The country's falling apart at the seams, and you're making a joke of it, DeForest?
Yes.
Like, what else can you do but laugh? It's hysterical that this is happening. Let's hope that not any more damage is done. I mean, that you could possibly find some sane people. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. Just give me somebody who's somewhat sane and doesn't have their own personal agenda, as a priority. And that'd be great if you could find those people. But unfortunately, no one have ever run for office.
No, that's the thing is they never break through the first line. So
Yeah. But women, and then I see all these Cuban immigrants. I mean, this guy would like nothing better than to just drop them in the middle of the Florida Straits in some kind of rickety boat and send them back.
Yes, my favorite's the immigrant. The immigrant that thinks that, oh, but he likes me. I'm
Yeah.
not Mexican. It's like, to you, he is. Like, have you ever heard him talk? He was like, oh, the African, they're Haitian. No, they're the same difference.
The
Like,
kung
heard
fu virus. I mean, come on, all of this shit.
like,
What,
the dude talks
what am I missing? Am I just missing the boat? Maybe
nah,
I'm starting to think that I'm really stupid after reading all of these comments. I mean, it's just
you
like
actually read them.
I must be lost. I really must be.
Yeah, I stopped reading. The one dude who wrote a long thing, and I'm like, what are you talking
They
about? I'm
go
like,
on forever too. Did you notice that?
well, Obama did it. I'm like, Obama, are you watching any of the reports? Like, this is literally the first president to ever do this. So, with that statement being said, then you can't say, but Obama. No president. Nixon, no one's ever done this. No one's ever done it. So stop
You're not in
complaining.
office anymore. I mean, either. I mean, so if the government is saying to you, hey, we need those documents back, Donnie, give them back. What is it? It's like a library book or something. I mean, look, it should have been probably in his possession in the first place. But to characterize that as some kind of political witch hunt that was conducted by Democrats to try and do anything they can to keep Donald Trump from running for president. I don't know. I mean, was it really that great? I mean, people, come on. You have to ask yourself, do you ever want to see a scene like that again? January 6th at the
It
Capitol
will
building?
100% happen. Like, he thinks he's a king, and he's not a king. And, like, that's, I don't
That
know.
business with the Bible that time where he was like trampling the protesters, so he could sit there and take a picture of himself holding a Bible upside down, that in his lifetime he probably never read a single paragraph, which is fine. I mean,
Oh yeah,
but don't represent yourself like that. I mean, come on.
religious Donald. First of all, I don't need him to be religious. I just think it's funny how the disingenuous
Yeah.
nature of him. Like,
I don't know. I just don't understand it though. But women, of all things, I mean, it always amazes me how the women come out of the woodwork on these kind of opportunities, and they can't wait to dive in. And what is it that they like about this guy? What
they look at what he
good
said.
looks? I mean, what is it?
No, they look at what he said in the last 6 years. It's not. I'm like, yeah, but did you listen to what he said the 50 years before that? Well, it
The
doesn't.
guy's
It
cheating
does
on his
matter.
wife while she's delivering a baby with a porn star that he doesn't even know, that he just met, that he's going to give 300 grand to shut the hell up. Or it was 30,000, I guess. I don't know.
You don't just give money to people just because, whatever. The whole thing is just weird to me. The fact that people are still this vitriolic about
It was
anyone,
crazy. I
like
mean,
anyone.
what Kool-Aid were these guys drinking?
I don't know.
I mean, let's find somebody better than both of these guys. Wouldn't that be great?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I said the same. I said I don't see either of these two running. First of all, he's going to be in prison, so you're not running for president.
I don't know about that. No, that'll never happen, probably.
I think he's finding himself to some kind of a cell. And Biden is shaking the air when he shakes hands half the time. So Biden is not running either.
Biden's going to fall down a flight of stairs, unfortunately, and
God willing, he
gotta
doesn't.
be that. Yeah.
I don't think either's running. I just look, and the country's doing better. They're wrong. That's the gas prices. They've gone down over $1 in a month, guys. Like, so stop using that. Like, you can't use that anymore. It's down in a lot of places. It's down to $3.50. Like, it's gone almost $1.50 in some places in the last 5 weeks. So you can't use that anymore. In the last 2 weeks, he's done more actual actions than Trump did in 4 years. Like, they've done so many things in the last just 2 weeks alone. Like, the dude is doing work. He might be senile, but the people around him are doing a good job. So just back off and let it happen. Like,
It baffles me. I mean, it's one thing, the policies, you may disagree 1,000% with all Democrats, and that's your entitlement, right? I mean, if you think there's a better way to run a country, that's fine. I'm not necessarily even deep enough, equipped in economic things and things like that to tell you that you're wrong. But when I see an asshole, I can recognize that. I've always been good at that. A quick judge of character, and usually, I mean, more often than not, correct on that, right? But like within seconds, you can size somebody up.
oh yeah.
I mean, it's a good characteristic to have, and okay, I know this guy's a good guy, and I know this guy is somebody to stay away from.
Yeah, we're in South Florida.
Yeah.
You can't figure out an asshole. What are you doing here?
If you can't spot an asshole and you live in South Florida, then
Screwed.
possibly you are an asshole yourself.
Yeah, I was
Right?
gonna
But
say,
then
you
they
could
say
be
it takes one to know one. This guy's been an asshole his entire life. That's all I can tell you. I don't know. Maybe he, did some charitable thing for someone, that was anonymously done years ago, and you have reason to hold this man in high reverence. But other than that, every time I've seen him, he's looked like a schmuck. Period. To me, that's just my opinion. And women, it's flabbergasting that any woman could look at Donald Trump and not be just immediately disgusted and turned off. Other than the women that, were with him, because obviously he had tremendous wealth. I mean, how many times have you seen it, right? You're at a restaurant somewhere. Hey, we decided to go out to the Capitol Grill. And what do you see? You see some old bastard with an possibly smoking hot, 28-year-old woman defying the DeForest mathematics on that.
100%.
A 90-year-old guy. He got like a 30-year-old chick, and she's gorgeous. She's all over him. And, then he gets in, his Lamborghini and drives off. And you're like, well, maybe it was the money. I don't know. Maybe he's a very charming guy. He could have a brilliant sense of humor. It's possible. Meanwhile, she was on her phone the entire time while they were having dinner. Incredible. How was your steak? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't tried it yet. All right, into the sporting world we go. Tony Segreto is going to join us later on. But it's so weird because I was reluctant to even put that up there because I don't want to get involved in it. A lot of people say, hey, listen, and I can hear people, even thinking this as we're, going through this little dissertation here on politics. But that was the thing that people were most scared of, which I thought was ridiculous. You're doing a talk show and you're a personality. And because we were on sports stations, remember ESPN came out with that credo? They were firing anybody who mentioned, politics. And then every network would have this clarification or this qualifier that the announcers go, well, we don't talk politics here. So what are you going to talk about? The defensive line of the New York Jets? That's going to be so much more important? This is shit that's going on that's affecting your daily life. So, is it not unusual? I mean, should it be considered unusual that a guy that does a talk show would have an opinion on something like that? But unfortunately, you have to line up one way or the other. There's no middle ground.
Yeah,
you're either a right wing political advocate, or very few. Actually, it's weird because the silent majority became the very vocal minority. I mean, they all had talk shows. The silent majority. What would that be? Very vocal minority. No, that dominated, right? I mean, you don't have any left-wing radio stations, do you?
No. It didn't work.
People would say CNN and MSNBC on TV are kind of left-wing, commie networks or whatever. But you have like a zillion right-wing radio talk show hosts. I mean, they all had shows. Led by Rush Limbaugh, of course, while he was alive. And then, even this Alex Jones has a platform for all of these maniacs. He's got millions of followers. Nuts. People that are just absolutely, completely delusional, that want to have no fabric of truth in any of the stuff that they, as the foundation of what they think. It's incredible to me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's my thing on that. I just always thought Trump was an asshole long before he ever considered running for political office. Struck me as just being, a self-consumed chump. And as we said, and degenerates, this is one thing. I think there's not 100% honor among degenerates. I don't want to, imply and give you the illusion that, we're all straight up guys. But I do believe that if Trump was handing out $100 bills at the bar at Gulfstream Park or Hialeah, I don't know. I mean, if you have any self-respect, you'd probably be reluctant to sit down and, accept one of those and have a drink with the guy.
Right? I always said this to people. I'm like, the term used car salesman has always been, has a not only negative connotation, but it's a euphemism for someone who's sort of a douche, right?
Yeah.
I always said, I'm like, you would never buy a car from Trump. You wouldn't. Like, you wouldn't. There's no way if you saw
no engine in it. Yeah.
Cars, you wouldn't do it. You just wouldn't do it. By the way he talks. The minute you walk into that dealership, when the guy talks like him, you go the other way. I've never seen anyone walk toward that guy. Okay, so then that's a smaller decision than voting for president. If you wouldn't buy a car from the dude, why would you use your vote on him for president?
You could see this guy on, one of those like kind of carnival, sales pitches, right? You say you want more for your money. You say you're not satisfied with your present brand of suds. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm Donald Trump. Right? You're like, oh, okay, great. He's got some new soap. All right. Probably boring people to tears with this, but it does fascinate me that women are so absolutely willing to embrace a guy that has nothing but disdain for women, or is at least that's what he's shown throughout his lifetime,
Mhm.
in terms of treating them with any level of respect. Oh yeah, did you see Ivana? She had everything. I'm wondering, the guy totally like unfaithful to any woman he's been with, and blatantly just flaunting that, right? I mean, he was very proud of the fact that he was banging Stormy Daniels. You know that
Oh, yeah.
because she had bazumbos out to the, it couldn't be any more belittling of women for and treating them, objectifying them than Donald Trump has in his lifetime. It's just amazing to me. And then these are women that are like, oh, we need Donnie. Crazy people on here. I'm sugar now. Sorry, but thank you for your participation on that, everybody. We really enjoyed it. All right. Many things happening, right? Dolphins made a big trade. Big trade, Lubie. I told you they had, just an absolute, so many receivers. They traded a tight end, is what they did. Minor deal actually took place with the Miami Dolphins. They're getting set to play their first game on Saturday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the preseason. However, the preseason unfolds tomorrow night. How about that? With a couple of games, and I don't know. We always ask people, what do you think you can take away from it? And everybody says the same thing: nothing. But then we sit there and analyze it,
Oh, yeah, for
until
sure.
every minute detail has been discussed and viewed over and over again as if it was an instant replay of a fumble. All right, I'm going to give you a guy to watch for. Hiawatha Washington Jr. in the Patriots game. Have you seen this kid? He's lighting it up in training camp. Hiawatha Washington Jr. You didn't know anything about him? Unsigned free agent with the New England Patriots. Wide receiver, 6'5", runs a hole in the wind. I
Just
think
a
he
little.
was timed in 4.1 in the 40 on some private clockings. But he, it wasn't at the combine. I mean, he was one of these guys who was overlooked coming out of a small college. And he has just absolutely caught the eye of the entire coaching staff. It doesn't even matter who the offensive coordinator is. You're going to be hearing the name Hiawatha Washington Jr. over and over again on Thursday night because they're going to showcase him. I don't know, Belichick. You would think he would want to kind of hide this kid, but he's been so eye popping in practice sessions in New England that all the entire chowderhead country and nation, that's all they're talking about. I would imagine Segreto is probably going to talk about Hiawatha Washington Jr., who's playing for the New England Patriots. I made him up. Okay, so
I was
there is
gonna
no
say,
Hiawatha
damn, man.
Washington
Man,
Jr.
I'm looking this name up. I've never heard this name. I mean, I would
That's
have
the
heard of
kind of shit that
that.
you hear, though. You're like, what? Who is this guy? You'll never hear from him again, right? Just a
That's interesting.
totally bogus player. They come up with out of nowhere. And they build a guy up, and this is what happens after week one of the preseason. Man, did you see Washington Jr.? My God, where did Belichick find this guy?
Oh, everyone was looking him up. I guarantee it because I'm looking him up. I'm like, I want the Washington.
What?
That's a very specific name.
See, that would be, my way of reporting on a preseason is just have a,
Garbage names out there.
what is it? Monte Teo? Was that the guy with the phony girlfriend?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
With catfish, yep.
Just an imaginary person that we're following. And you probably could make something like that up. I mean, it's kind of like when we were talking about John Blutarski in the draft to one of those draftniks, and he actually had a comment on it and said, yeah, I think he could be a very good player. I forget who it was that we asked about him.
I don't remember.
Yeah. And the guy obviously had not seen Animal House, which seems almost impossible. How
No.
can anybody that ever was a guest on our show not be familiar with the movie Animal House? It's inconceivable that we would invite somebody on that was that shallow when it came to culture. I mean, we asked some guy about John Blutarski in the draft, and he went on to say that, I heard he had some academic problems, which was, somewhat ironic because, in answering a question as a complete bozo, when he was duped into answering a phony question, he still came up with the goods, right? He had some analytics that were actually on the money because obviously Blutarski was probably plagued with academic problems, as in 0.0.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know what's going to happen in the preseason. That was the point of making up a player. Is just who knows. So if you're turning to this show to find out, do we see anything? We tell ourselves every year, and Tony could speak to this because he probably had to address it more so than anybody in town with his close relationship with all of these coaches shows and everything, where you're trying to pretend that the preseason has some meaning. Well, what did you take away from week one there, Coach? And what did Shula take away from week one of the preseason? Nothing.
Yeah.
Except that it's still, I mean, back in those days, there were 6 preseason games. Can you imagine, Lubie, suffering through 6 preseason games? 6. I remember one year the Bears and the Dolphins were one of the 6 games, and it was like 3-0. The most dreadful game. I mean, worse than at least the snowplow game had some controversy. That was also a 3-0 score. That game against the New England Patriots, when the escaped convict or whatever it was came out there with the snowplow, and Shula was ready to blow his brains out. Who was that? What was it? Ron Meyer? Was he the coach of the Patriots at that time? Ron Meyer? Does that ring a bell? Or am I making that name up? Ron Meyer. Anyway, this guy comes across the field and clears a path for the field goal. It's a classic. It really is. And when it was happening, you were looking at it going, wait a minute, man. How come we don't get to do that?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I don't remember. There's a good trivia question for you. In that game, in the snowplow game, did the Miami Dolphins attempt any field goals? Because the final of that game was 3-0, was it not? Did the Miami Dolphins attempt any field goals? And if so, obviously they didn't make any. But, how bad was it in terms of the conditions for the place kicker?
What year was it?
Wow, I don't know, man. That goes back away. Had to be in the 80s because I was here in Florida. I want to say
late 80s was Raymond Berry was their head coach.
Ray Berry, I don't think was a coach when that snowplow.
Bob Meyer was 82 to 84. 82
okay,
to 84.
I think that's what it must have been then. I must have just moved to town. Well, that's Tony. Probably. I bet Tony was at that game.
He was
Tony
definitely
Segreto.
working the game 100%.
Yeah. But I mean, it's tough. I mean, you talk about insufferable, just cliche driven dribble. I mean, what are you gonna say about the preseason? Except, the offense was pretty vanilla out there, so I don't know if you can really make any kind of a judgment as to how ineffective our quarterback position is. Like, what do you mean? You didn't complete a pass there, Coach. What the fuck? But I mean, if you buy too heavily into it, and then there are classic examples where the Buffalo Bills, when they went to 4 straight Super Bowls, I would imagine if you went back and tracked this, we'll have to get somebody that researches this sort of thing, for a living, like Mark Lawrence. But it's possible that they never won any preseason games during those 4 years. I don't know. They must have come up with a victory somewhere just by accident. But Marv Levy, paid no attention to winning or losing in the preseason. In fact, it seemed like he was on a mission to deliberately go out there and finish the preseason without a victory. And then they were playing 4 preseason games. But is it possible that they went 0-16 in the preseason in the 4 years that they went to the Super Bowl, 4 consecutive years? I don't know. It's hard to even find. This is almost like trying to locate the documents at Mar-a-Lago, or where you're going into Melania's closet and thinking, you think he put them in here? Hey, Stu, look what we found. Look at this one. Bin Laden. Right? We got everything on him. Whatever it was that he was hiding. But, I mean, it's hard to find, for some reason, even with Google, preseason records. Have you noticed that, Lubie? If you wanted to go back and research that, what was the Buffalo Bills record in preseason games in the 4 consecutive years that they went to Super Bowls? Gurgles might have that answer right off the top of his head. We'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming your way tomorrow, and that should be a lot of fun. But Marv Levy was, known for not giving a flying one about the preseason. That was one of the angles that people, degenerates, look at, that feel like they have some kind of edge in the preseason. That this coach, and it's said of John Harbaugh, who happens to be favored with the Ravens in their first preseason game, and for good reason, because I don't know what it is, but does he actually go out there with the intent of winning these games? Or is it just by blind accident that they have a very favorable record in the preseason? Because I would think if you have your 4th string line in there at the end of the game, just to see if you might want to keep one of these guys on the practice squad, it's very hard to then, give yourself, any kind of derogatory opinion about your performance in the game if you weren't playing anybody that might be on your team. I mean, why would you worry about what the outcome was when it didn't count, right? It's kind of like hitting shots in practice. You pump a couple into the net there, and you're thinking, all right, I'm not really ready to go here, but I'm not going to kill myself because it doesn't count. And then or the other guy's like smacking the crap out of the ball in practice, and then the first game comes and he gets beaten at love because he can't make a shot. You see it all the time. It doesn't count. It's practice. So why would anybody put any significance or consequence on what the outcome of the game is? But it does seem like, I mean, if you look at it, John Harbaugh has an incredible preseason record, and there are a couple of other guys that are in that category. Very few, but a couple of guys, Lubie. I don't know who the other guys are off the top of my head.
I feel like Andy Reid does decent, but again, you're not wrong. It's hard to find preseason records.
Yeah, where do you find them, man? They don't exist.
I don't know.
Hillary Clinton's got them in her emails there. That's for ballots. That was. They were somehow lost on the laptop that Hunter Biden dropped off at that Delaware repair shop. Which, who does that anyway, right? Don't you just buy another computer?
Honestly.
Yeah. Who's having their computer repaired? It's like television repairman. Do you ever see a shop with television repair anymore? No. Because you don't repair TVs. You toss them in the garbage.
Yep.
Everything is dispensable.
Yep.
Disposable. All right, but we're going to come back with more. The Marlins losers again. Philadelphia's on fire, by the way, Lubie. Have you noticed that? They've won 11 out of 12. Here's an ugly stat, and it seems like, and sometimes you're thinking, well, maybe there's some hope that this team, could go on a winning streak. The Marlins show no evidence whatsoever. They had a 7-game winning streak earlier this year and gave rise to hope that maybe they had found something. But that has since badly dissipated and disappeared. And all you're waiting for right now is the end of the season. And then what? It doesn't appear that they're in a position to really make a move in any direction, does it? Except to be the same sub 500 team that they've been for seemingly forever.
Yeah, it's weird. Usually I could lie to myself and feel like there's hope. They've done all the things and they're still in the same spot. I don't know what to think of for the Marlins.
These guys that they were acquiring as prospects in all of these deals have had plenty of time to mature.
Yep.
It's kind of like when you realize that these guys on the Florida Panthers had actually been together for 10 years. You're like, wait a minute. Am I so numb to what's going on that 10 years went by and I don't even notice it? What am I? I mean, like French peasant or Papillon? Wow, 5 years are up already? Okay, good, man. Don't turn the lights on too quickly. There's no rise for hope there. I don't see anything. Do you? I mean, they lose again, to the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are hot. In 5 games, their last 5 games against the Phillies, how about this number that came up, Lubie? You want some numerology to back up all of these opinions? A little research here. No, I happen to see it on a crawl. The Marlins have been outscored in the last 5 games against Philadelphia, 23-3. 23-3 in the last 5 games against Philadelphia. I mean, and it seems like there's a horrible stat associated or affiliated with virtually every series. Like every time the Marlins are playing somebody, you go, oh, my God, look at that. They've lost 9 in a row to these guys. The Pirates.
Yeah, the bad teams. That's what's annoying.
I mean, it's like silly teams. Yeah, the A's have beaten them 12 straight times. It's pretty incredible. And they're batting a combined cumulative 143 in those games. I mean, it's like, what? How bad can you be?
Well, they're trying. They're getting there.
This Little League Baseball saturation on ESPN is a little bit much for me. At this point, it just is little Johnny Jones out there. And an area, actually, that I used to frequent, although I tried to stay away from there as much as I could, nearly landed a job there that at the time would have been a dream job, San Bernardino, California, where they had the big newspaper there. Of the newspapers in this suburban area east of L.A., probably the biggest one was the San Bernardino Sun, right? They actually sent guys on the road with like the Dodgers and the Angels and stuff like that. So I nearly copped a job there. I lost it out to, believe it or not, a very distinguished baseball writer who was an unknown at the time named Tracy Ringlesby, who I think might be, one of these guys that eventually gets into the, could he be in the Baseball Hall of Fame? I don't think so.
I don't know the name.
Writers. Tracy Ringlesby, he I think kind of staked his claim to fame not covering the Dodgers for the San Bernardino Sun, but he covered, I believe, the Colorado Rockies, and it was a very well-respected national baseball writer. But San Bernardino was a dump, man. I mean, like tumbleweed was blowing by the door there where I was living in Fontana, and it was worse. I mean, it was exponentially worse. I mean, just the wilderness-type feeling there of San Bernardino, San Berdoo. which I guess got in the news, unfortunately, a few years ago for a mass shooting. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yep, I do. I do.
But they're huge into the Little League, right? And they showed a clip that they were holding, hosting one of the regionals there in San Bernardino. They have a stadium there that looks like Chavez Ravine. This was a shithole of a town, Lubie. I mean, like a city, one of the last destinations you would like. It was right up there with Bakersfield in terms of places you would never want to live in California. San Bernardino, California. But for Little League Baseball, I mean, it's spectacular. Now, everything has gone sprawling to the east in L.A. I mean, I left there 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago, 41 years ago. So, I mean, you would imagine, obviously, the natural evolution of things. An area that was just barren wasteland back in the day there 40 years ago when I lived there. All of a sudden now, it's a booming metropolis. But to have a stadium like this for Little League Baseball, it eclipsed even my dream, which I know a lot of you guys that lived in New York, grew up in New York, and ended up moving down here to South Florida, shared, of playing baseball at the Rockville Center Little League field, which was the Yankee Stadium of all Little League fields for any kid that blew by there on the Long Island Railroad, or even driving by. You could see it; it was visible by automobile also, and it had a fence. That was the thing, and it was manicured, Lubie. It was unbelievable, and we didn't have conditions like that. As I mentioned, I mean, my favorite play was a sizzling ground ball to short that went through the legs of little Johnny, through the gap there in left and center field, and all the way to the school. Just hopping and bounding along there on the crabgrass. That was Little League Baseball to me. But there was, a thing that I'm sure has been, I mean, just applauded around the world. This little kid that got beaned. Did you see this?
What?
All right, so a kid gets beaned in one of these Little League regional games. Hit in the head. He seemed, at first, it looked ugly, but he got up. He was okay, and he actually went to first base. Right? So the pitcher was distraught that he had beaned this kid. He couldn't pick his head up. I mean, he really, and it was a big kid, the pitcher looked like he was about 16 and, might have weighed 220.
Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, they had a ringer pitcher in there, and he just was despondent. And the kid comes over from first base and gives the pitcher a hug and says, "It's all right."
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay. I love when the kids act more mature than the adults.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't come out there with a bat like he was Johnny
They would have
Roseboro.
fought each other if it was the
Yeah.
majors.
It wasn't some raving maniac like George Brett type of scene there when they took him, down for having the pine tar on his bat. But no, I mean, and it was touching to see because, one thing that we've said, I've noticed this about women's sports. I mean, Tony could get into this also. But that they seem to play the game with a spirit that isn't as entrenched. Now, you've been talking about this also with these old school coaches. Who do we have that discussion with about the old school coaches? Was that Tesler? Yeah, he was talking
I
about
talked about
Michael Daniels.
McDaniel. I talked about McDaniel. Yeah.
Yeah, where I mean, that kind of idea that, if you lose, you need to be depressed for like the next 6 years. You lose, you lose. You congratulate the other guy. Okay, get better next time.
Yep.
I mean, determination to win obviously is a key ingredient to being a competitor. But I mean, is it something where you have to be absolutely devastated if you lose a game at the little league level, or playing college sports? I guess people would imply or think the common wisdom would be, oh yeah, you know what? Can you believe that guy who was smiling after he left the field? His life isn't over. He lost a ball game.
Honestly.
It doesn't mean you weren't trying to win, or that you didn't have an intense determination to try and win. But I don't know, how long does it take to get over it, right?
Next day.
Girl dumps you. You're with somebody else that afternoon.
That's not
Trump.
that's not everyone.
Oh, it took you a while. Yeah, you were face down in the gutter.
A lot of us,
time.
it hits us hard, yes. But I understand.
I think you felt you had to pretend to be depressed. Why would you be depressed? She didn't like you anyway. So
I get
good.
it. I aspire to be you emotionally in those areas, but it is what it is. But yes, I get what you're saying, especially when it comes to sports. I mean,
What are you going to do? I mean, you know what? I never got that. I really didn't. I go out whenever I was playing any kind of a sport, even to this day. I don't like losing to Dr. Jerry, right?
no one likes losing, but
Yeah.
you don't become a jerk. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if he
last
wins, I
on
want
the-
to congratulate the guy. It's like,
yeah,
wow. I mean,
yeah.
I might have sucked today, but good for you. Enjoy the happy feeling. Why don't we share that happy feeling? But, I'm with you, my friend. I'm glad you kicked my ass today, man. I'll get you next time.
I love that you throw that in though. Still, you still go. I may have sucked today, but good for you. Exactly. You still throw that in there though.
Well, I really didn't have it today.
Yeah, I mean, what I
Like,
play like
no, you played like you always do, like shit. It's really getting bad too, Louis. I got to tell you. I mean, it's just really getting bad. I still love playing ball, though. I was telling Jim Sarney this the other day. We were texting about something, and we were texting about Mayo. We're going to buy Mayo a tennis racket, Mike
okay.
Mayo. Okay, we're going to get him out there because I mean, it's scary what he's doing with the food, is it not? You've witnessed it now, and you used to frighten me, but you at least had a high metabolic rate because of your frenetic nature.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Mayo is much more laid back and subdued, obviously, in his general behavior, almost to the point of you're thinking, sometimes you're wondering why he even got up. Because he's like, I got to go meet Dick Steen for lunch. You know who he is.
I'm aware. Yes.
Yeah. I think underneath it all, though, he has just an absolute raw enthusiasm for life.
He
Like,
shows flashes. He has his
yeah,
moments where it's like, okay, so you're not like this all the time.
no. I mean, what's the point of being grumpy? It doesn't pay. That's why I like doing this first thing in the morning. I mean, you're thinking, okay, and no matter what happens the rest of the day, it was a great day already. We got to talk to a lot
Yeah,
of
we had
wonderful
fun.
people. It's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
Had a few laughs, right? It's the way it should be.
Mhm.
All right, so watch out for Hiawatha Washington Jr.
you,
Should
I
I ask
just,
Tony if he's aware of this cat?
you got me looking him up. I was like, all right, let me look just in case he's not
The
there.
name is stupid enough. I mean, I was trying to find a name. It's like the April Fool's prank has to be somewhat believable.
Well, it sounds like some kid that comes from like Iowa State,
Yeah.
and like he led the country in rushing, but then he goes in the fourth round, and you never hear of his name again.
The point being, there's always a guy that you never heard of that somehow captures
Oh
the
yeah,
imagination of everybody in training camp, especially true in football camps.
yeah.
Because with basketball rookies, even if they really shine in, I don't know, do they even, who pays any attention to NBA preseason? Nobody.
Oh God, not no
The
one.
coaches don't even show up for the games, right? They're in the stands like they're Coco Cameron, right? Hey, where's Spolstra? And he's up there like having a sandwich with Pat Riley in the skybox while, some assistant, while Udonis is coaching the team as a player coach. But it seems like there's very little attention paid to that, almost 0.0. And so you don't hear about like young phenoms too much, right? When do you ever hear about like a surprise guy,
Basketball.
is
Not in,
coming out
not
of
in
some
preseason.
basketball training camp where
You
you go,
you you
whoa,
you
who
you'll
heard of him?
surprise guy will come during the season. Like you'll see someone out of nowhere turn into someone during the
Yeah,
season. It's not preseason. No one cares about NBA preseason. Like that's not a thing. Camps, no one cares about the camps.
I can't think of this guy's name. I don't know if Tony will remember either because it's hard to really get a good description. But there was a small receiver in Dolphins training camp back when they were training at St. Thomas. This predates, imagine this, Lubie, predates them having their own facility there in Davie, which goes way back.
Yeah.
And I just remember this guy was making a bunch of great catches. I want to say his last name started with a B, but I couldn't swear to it. And everybody was a buzz about how great this kid was, and he didn't make the team. And you were like, how is that possible? He was lighting it up. Shula loved him every day. He was raving about the guy, and everybody was. I remember they had a PR assistant named Scott Stone, who may still be associated with the franchise. And I was standing there on the sidelines because we used to actually like stand there like fools and observe this stuff. And we're watching this kid, and he's like making a sensational catch after catch. And Marino's throwing the rock. This is not like, we're talking about some guy that was catching a pass that was batted up in the air by Jay Fiedler or from Jay Fiedler. This is Marino firing the rock in there, and this guy is doing great. And didn't even make the team. Did not make the team, Lubie. So you never know. I mean, rarely. If this Hiawatha Washington guy pans out, then watch out for the Pats. What do you say on opening day? Just real quickly here. What happens on opening day? New England
Oh,
Patriots
the
at
Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. Yes,
Oh, I think the Dolphins win handily. I mean, it's going to be hot as hell.
handily.
I mean, New England with that humidity, the Dolphins. We'll put it this way: the Dolphins should. I mean, if they don't, then that's a precursor for this season. I mean,
Tua throws 4 picks.
The Patriots are supposedly on the way down. The Dolphins are on the way up, right? And they're at home in September. Miami at home in September used to be a scary place if you're a road team.
At what point in time will the "We Want Bridgewater" chants
Oh, good. Never.
start
I don't like
circulating throughout Hard Rock Stadium?
Never. What do
We
you mean?
want Teddy.
It's Skylar
We
Thompson.
want Teddy.
The
Because
7th round
everybody
pick is
falls in
probably
love with the backup, right? Everybody falls in love with the backup, especially preseason, which you would see what? I mean, are we going to see a lot of Teddy Bridgewater preseason? He became our backup quarterback, did he not?
Yes, yes.
Unbelievable. Yeah. All right. Tony's coming up in just a few minutes. We'll get into a lot of this stuff with Tony Segreto. I'm Jeff DeForest. That's Mike Lubie. It's Hialeah Park would be a great place to go. And wow, I have it right here. You'll find this somewhat surprising, Lubie, but I actually had it right here. The New York Post Saratoga entries, my friend. There they are. Saratoga entries. They start out with a little steeplechase today. That's at 105. And a perfect place to be to take it all in would be the Champion Simulcasting Room at beautiful, and I'm talking beautiful, Hialeah Park. And I do love this place. I mean, I really do. It's part of my heart and soul at this point in time. And I just remember so many different things that I did there over the years. And I'm glad to have recent memories also of being at Hialeah Park and many spectacular occasions, including, the boxing is always spectacular. I haven't heard anything about anything new happening on that front. So we're looking forward to maybe something happen. I did watch Aris Landy Lara, who's been featured at Hialeah Park in their boxing matches, Luby. And he was there. He fought the fighting rabbi, right? Andy's guy, Yuri Foreman.
He did.
Big Aris Landy Lara. Lara is a sharp shooter, man. I mean, when you talk about like these Cuban boxers that had the technique that they learned in the amateur programs there, that was obviously a very, very high level of exploring the different nuances of the so-called sweet science. He exhibits this. I mean, I was watching an old Lara fight the other day. I forget who he was going against. Pretty tough customer, but he just has the moves, and exhibits them fundamentally to perfection. I mean, you can really see that whole Cuban influence. But they've brought that out. They brought so many great things out there. I mean, it's really like watching art unfold in front of your eyes. Some of the live events they've had at Hialeah Park, just absolutely fantastic. And of course, the excitement factor is there as well because the people. I mean, you saw. Is there anybody that is more enthusiastic? Is there any group of people than Hispanic fans and the Latin fans? My
no way.
God.
Watching a horse race there was the most exciting thing outside of being at the
Unreal.
Derby.
Right? Didn't you feel like you almost felt like you were there? I mean, and then when you walk into the grounds there and you get that whole background of Hialeah Park and the backdrop of, the paddock area, if you're looking at if you're on one of the verandas there or one of the patios outside the Champion Simulcasting Room, I mean, it really gives you a great, great feeling, like being in the countryside there at Saratoga. Great place to punch away on that, and tremendous accommodations, brass rail bars, terrific, and a crossover cafe, and then you can get food from anywhere in the place, delivered to you, or you can go down and get it yourself, but they'll bring it to you. I mean, it really aimed to please there. Customer service is unparalleled, as is the rewards program. So get a player's card when you sign up. Just walk in the door there and sign up for the player's card. If you have a current player's card, show them that, and they'll give you one of a similar nature. And all the rewards that go along with it for initiating your player's card account at Hialeah Park. And you're going to want to go back many, many times again because it's the best accommodations you could find in any casino environment here in South Florida and maybe among the best that you'll find anywhere in the world. They really know how to treat people right at beautiful Hialeah Park. I'll tell you who knows how to treat people right. That's Tony Segreto. He's a man's man. And that's what we love about this guy. And he loves his sports, and he goes all the way back. You wouldn't think because of his youthful appearance that he has as much, the wealth and depth of experience that he does in covering the variety of sports that have taken place here in South Florida. I mean, you would have to say, Lubie, I think it's a fair statement, that the name Tony Segreto is synonymous with sports in South Florida.
Yes, 100%.
If you said, hey, name me a sportscaster from South Florida, okay, some might say Mad Dog Manich or Hank or, any of the greats, Rick Weaver, right? He rappy cocked him. But the number one name in South Florida sports forever since I was here, and and the entire time that I've been 41 years here in South Florida, the number one name in all the sports is Tony Segreto, and he
Yes.
joins us in just a few minutes here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz, and we'll be back a little old school with Tony Segreto in a moment. Now that
The time.
number one name. It's 8:00.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going?
All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and joining us once again from his digs in Vermont, the very handsome, and as we said, synonymous with sports in South Florida and sports around the world. The number one name in all of sports casting here for my entirety in South Florida, which encompasses 41 years. The great one himself, Mr. Tony Segreto, joins us here with Old School, as he does every Wednesday. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, Catholic Health Services, to fine organizations. Tony, you look good, kid. I mean, you're proudly wearing your Yankee cap, even though they've been getting hammered lately. Are you okay? Are you getting?
Oh, yeah. No, it's all part of the process. Listen, we've been around baseball a long time. You get on those streaks, either winning or losing, and you wait for that moment to turn things around. And yeah, either you're a fan or you're not. You're not just a fan because they win. You're a fan because you love the team. So it'll come. I'm not concerned at all. They
Not
haven't
concerned
a
at
moment.
all. I like that.
At all.
Wow.
Now, if this were, the tail end of August and the first week of September, maybe there'd be some trepidation here. But no, I'm good. I will say this: wearing this hat now in New England, everybody laughs. They goes, "Hey,
Yeah.
you guys are losing. You guys are losing."
Yeah, but you
So-
have a quick comeback on that because you can just point to the Red Sox and they're at the
Exactly.
bottom of the standings.
Yeah, I go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Do. But good morning. Thank you for that,
Good
and I hope you guys are well. It's beautiful here. We actually had. I thought of you guys. We actually had 3 or 4 days of for here heat
Heat.
and
What
heat.
does that mean?
88.
Oh, well,
90,
it's kind of nice
90.
there.
It
Change of
is
pace.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the high humidity. Hey, listen, for here, it's like South Florida when it's 60. Everybody
Yeah.
brings out the galoshes and the coats. just flip it, right? So this morning it was 57 degrees, and it was
Ooh.
like a breath of fresh air. Welcome to early fall. So,
Yeah.
but hey, listen, I wanted to tell you something, Jeff.
Yes.
You mentioned Scott Stone.
Yes.
So
do you remember this guy who was lighting up? I mean,
well,
there was
I don't
a
remember
small
that.
receiver. It was at St. Thomas.
Yeah, I remember that. But there's a couple of things. First of all, on Scott Stone, he actually called me about 6 weeks ago.
Get out of here. How's he
No,
doing?
he's doing great. He's actually back working with the Dolphins on this project because as we approach this football season, this is the 50th anniversary of the 17-0 team.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
And they basically, in a very kind way, Scott said to me, Scott and Hank actually called me, not Hank, God bless his soul.
Oh, Hank
Harvey.
called from the grave?
No,
Wow.
no, Harvey. Harvey Green and Ron Stone called and said, like it or not, you're the last one standing from 72.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Eddie
so
Pope
we're
gone,
doing,
Rick
yeah,
Weaver gone, Hank
yeah,
gone.
Hank gone.
Wow.
Yeah,
Henry Barrow, is he still with us? Henry Barrow? Gone? Henry
I think
Barrow's
Henry.
dead?
I don't know if Henry's gone or not, but
I want to say
anyway,
Henry alive. I want to say Henry Barrow is still alive.
anyway, so they asked me. They're doing all these different stories on the 17-0 team. So that I did an interview with NFL Network for print. They interviewed me, and then they asked me to do. They're doing 17 podcasts for all 17 games, and it's actually being done by a guy who does play-by-play for San Diego, Josh Lewin, and just did an interview with him. So I've been in touch with Scott Stone quite often.
Wow.
Over the last month and a half, and I will let him know that we invoked his name on the show. He'll be happy to hear that. He's doing quite well.
And Henry Barrow passed in 2020. So
Yeah.
2020 is
Like I said, Henry dead also, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Anyway,
I do remember, though, and I'm big into visualization when I try to think of these things that I've seen in sports. And I remember I was standing on the sidelines there at St. Thomas with Scott Stone. And, we were watching a practice, and there was this kid, and he was like 5'10", and he was making remarkable plays in practice and in the preseason at wide receiver for the Dolphins. And then we were all shocked that he didn't make the team. But he was the big buzz of training camp, and that happens frequently where somebody lights it up in training camp, and then it becomes inconsequential by the time they get around to the regular season. They keep the same veteran schmink that they had on the roster for the last 5 years, who everybody was complaining about.
Exactly. Well, when you first brought this up, before you said Marino was throwing the rock, the initial season of this is where I thought you were going with it. The initial season of the Dolphins, when George Wilson was the coach, they selected a rookie receiver by the name of Wes Matthews, and he wrote every day Diary of a Rookie, and he wrote it, I believe, in the Sun Sentinel.
Wow.
And the young man was actually a pretty good player. He wound up making the team. And every day, I mean, I remember like it was yesterday, I could not wait to get to see what he had to write about, Diary of a Rookie. And it was fascinating, young guy coming out of college, being in the pros for the first time. And those stories like that really kind of invoke a lot of fandom and a lot of fan following. And he became quite a fan favorite for a very long time. And that's where I thought you were going with it, but I remember the receiver. I remember what you're talking about. And that, you're right. It happens all the time in training camp. There are guys who are spectacular. They make the team and then they never never play in a game, ever play in a game. And that happens quite often too. So,
or what happened with the Dolphins the last 20 years, where a guy impresses in training camp, makes the team, subsequently does nothing, gets traded, and becomes a star somewhere else.
Exactly. No,
immediately,
yeah, exactly.
and has an impact on that team, like the Patriots or whatever, as they go blowing by the Dolphins once again in another wasted season for the team. Now we've run into a little resistance here, and I'm wondering what the hell is going to go wrong, Tony.
Resistance.
I mean, I mean, a couple of guys are skeptical about the Miami Dolphins. People talk about the schedule, but once again, the schedule. I know you did this for forever, where you predicted all of the games before the season, but you can't anticipate certain things. Like this Mekhi Becton now is out for the season. He was going to be a vital piece of whatever improvement the Jets were going to have by coming back to the team and moving a right tackle. He's gone now, and that's a big piece to take out of there, literally and figuratively, because it's hard to replace a guy that you thought was going to be a monster for you at a position that, and you already thought you had it solved at left tackle. So now your whole line goes down at least a notch, maybe by 20% of efficiency, and you haven't played a game yet. So, I mean, it's impossible to tell. But I do find it odd that the odds makers still don't have a very high opinion of the Miami Dolphins in terms of win total this year? Because I don't know, are they incapable of even beating the Buffalo Bills and winning the AFC East? Is that out of the question in your opinion?
No. Well, the Buffalo Bills, I think Buffalo is just in a class of its own. I really do. I think they're. I just think they do. I just think they are the team. Obviously, they're the team to beat in the East. I think this whole Stephen Ross thing. I think the mere fact that we got a brand new coach. I think that the trepidation is not so much. They're being clairvoyant and seeing, 10 games down the road. I think it's more like I would rather be reluctant in saying they're going to be good and like kind of take a wait and see attitude than coming out of the box and going, oh, this team's going to be great. When we have nothing to base that on. We have literally nothing to base that on. First year coach, third year quarterback who's we really haven't seen anything, he's got great tools, but if you can't use the tools properly, then they're not great tools. And so I think that everybody's sort of, they have that one eye open, one eye closed. I want to open the other one, but I'm not sure yet. I'm curious to see. I think Lubie brought out a good point before we came on about, I don't know if they're going to beat New England handily. I think that they should win that game. It is a 1:00 game. And historically, Miami in September was almost, if not unbeatable at home. And you would think that would carry through. But again, I thought it was curious last week for the Hall of Fame game that, we didn't see hardly. Trevor Lawrence didn't play. We got nobody's playing.
Those guys never go though in the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, but they'll play a quarter, they'll play a series, they'll show up. But man, oh man, I think teams are so gun shy right now on getting guys hurt that
I would be. It doesn't count.
It used to be that the first preseason game, you would see the veterans in there for one series and then be out.
Yeah.
And then as the second game or third game, you barely see them. But depending on how many preseason games there were, but the game before the regular season, you'd see the starters
big dress rehearsal.
For 3 quarters.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's going to happen anymore.
Oh, no.
I think now that personally, this is what I think. I think that we should get rid of the darn preseason games.
That's what Defo is saying.
What we're doing here in Tampa for 3 days. We use those as the barometer for how we're doing, and we do a scrimmage.
Yeah.
Okay. And move on, because we are these coaches, and do you blame them if they don't have, a deep roster where they feel comfortable that their 1As and their 1Bs are relatively the same, then they're not going to want to put those 1As out and get them hurt. Period.
Well, it could be that it turns out that these old philosophies, speaking of old school, were bullshit all along, that there really was no need to emphasize this level of practice. You assemble your team, you're still practicing every day to play one game a week. So you have plenty of opportunity to go ahead and iron out whatever timing and synchronization issues you have, and a chance to assess your personnel in practice. But what do you need to play these games for? Yeah. I was all Iverson on this sort of stuff. Most athletes are training themselves anyway. Yeah. So, it's not like about a conditioning thing where you have to get everybody together, to get them in shape like you used to. So it does seem to me that it's unnecessary to play any of these preseason games. I believe that.
Yeah. Well, we're saying that college football is professional right now. Do they play preseason games?
No.
Well, they do in the sense that they play those cupcake games that they always say, well, we needed a game before we take on Georgia.
Yeah,
sure
but some of them are cupcake games and some of them aren't.
That's true. Yeah.
When we have the openers that we have coming up, some of those big games, man.
Notre Dame overrated, by the way, Tony, in everybody's opinion. Overrated.
Yeah, no.
Look at his face. Look.
I know. I am shocked. I am shocked that they're ranked as high as they are, and I'm shocked that Miami's ranked as low as they are. Miami's
where are they?
Top,
I didn't see
Miami's
them.
in the top 20. Miami's,
20?
I think, 17. But I think Miami is going to surprise a lot of people in the ACC. I'm excited. I'm actually, it's funny. I got a listen. I know Ed. Is Ed with us?
Ed's with us, and we have to plan that corporate dinner that we were going to have. And
yeah,
then,
so
to discuss the contest so we can eat at Texas Roadhouse restaurants twice on the same concept.
There he is.
Which would be great. There's Ed Garcia. How are you?
Hey, how you
Good
doing,
morning.
Ed?
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, great.
Hey,
how are you?
I want to relay the call we made the other day, Ed. I want to relay it to Lubie and Jeff and to the audience. My wife is born and raised in Harrison Township, Michigan, just outside of Detroit. Ed knows exactly where that is, and she decided, she's big, one of 7 siblings, and she said, hey, how about we go to Texas Roadhouse? I called Ed. My brother-in-laws can't get back there fast enough. The meals were amazing. It was incredible. Rose called me. She said, you've got to let Ed Garcia know how amazing it was for everybody. They were just overwhelmed by how great everything was. So, Ed, I thank you for that. When I head to Michigan at the end of this week, I'll let you know what Texas Roadhouse we go to.
Awesome. Yes, please do. I'm glad they take great care of you. But you can find that at any Texas Roadhouse across the United States. We really pride ourselves on being consistent and awesome for each and every guest.
How is it that the culture that's been set at Texas Roadhouse is its own? And I want to let people know this. We talk about the food all the time, but when you go to Texas Roadhouse, it's like walking into Cheers. It's like they even though they don't know your name, they know your name, right, Ed?
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, it all started with Kent Taylor, and from the top, so goes the leader, so goes the rest, is one of the things I love to say, that, we are a people company, and we just happen to sell a lot of steaks, and taking care of our team is going to take care of, everybody that walks through that door. And I'll tell you, a lot of different companies do different things every year. They kind of have a meeting and, hey, let's just really drill down on financials. Let's really drill down on this. Let's review that, or let's bring out some new menu items. You know what Texas Roadhouse does every year, and I'm in the midst of doing it right now, is we just focus on the basics. We focus on that simple block and tackle on taking care of our people, taking care of our guests. And I think that's one of the reasons we've been able to grow over 600 Texas Roadhouses across the United States and still keep that same culture.
And I know you pride yourself in getting food to the table in an efficient and effective way, but never making the guest feel like they're being rushed. That to me is an art. And you do it in such a way. I mean, even from the beer, making sure that by the time the beer is poured, to make sure it's still the same temperature and cold when it gets to the table, and not just sitting on the bar and having you wait as the server serves other people. I don't know how you do that.
Well, I'll tell you, as soon as the manager walks through the door, actually, when they pull into the parking lot, they are looking at everything you'll be looking at. And we just have, certain systems put into place, and we pride ourselves in having, our servers have 3 table stations. There are concepts out there up to 10. I couldn't imagine waiting on 10 tables. That would be absolutely insane. But they have 3 table stations so they can give that care and concern that every guest needs.
Well, I don't know. All I know is that I can't wait to get to a Texas Roadhouse, since we're sort of dormant around here in Vermont. But I know that the response has always been great, and I know that we want to get this corporate dinner done.
Yeah, we have to do it.
So
let's do it.
We're gonna.
It should not be overlooked either, Tony, the attention to detail here, because, and this is my orgasmic moment of every day, is this cold beer I pour after my walk of life. And there's a lot to be said for the, effort that is made by Texas Roadhouse to serve you the coldest possible beer. That should not be underestimated, because
I agree. I agree.
There's nothing better than that first taste of the coldest possible beer. And a lot of places you go, they're like, hey, a chill glass, we don't have that. But Texas Roadhouse are right on top of it, and that's how they are about everything. It's fantastic.
Well, this goes beyond the chill glass, Jeff, and Lubie will tell you about this. Ed Garcia, not only are there lines from the tap to the keg short, which they should be, but the lines are chilled. So once it leaves the keg, that's still going through the same process in terms of the chilled lines, right, Ed? I mean, that's what
Absolutely.
makes it special. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool machine to just keep that beer below. That's the only way you can pour beer into frozen glass. You try it, really at home. It's a challenge because that change of temperature, it'll just turn instantly to foam. So it's a really, really cool system.
It's like Mission Impossible, man. The way that you guys go back there and work the lines and everything, it's really, really great. Ed, always a pleasure, man. It's also a Mission Impossible to keep prices down, and you guys somehow managed to do that as well. So congratulations on everything. We're looking forward to seeing you and, getting together there at Texas Roadhouse real soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, hope to see you soon as well. They're fantastic. Hey, listen, this is no joke. My wife was, and she's not a wow person. She's, we've been through a lot. And she said, Anthony, she goes, oh my goodness gracious, my brothers were through the roof. They cannot, they loved it.
I thought she only called you Anthony when you gambled a lot.
No. That's my name at home. I'm like Clark Kent. I'm Clark Kent at home, and I'm Tony on the
Tony Segreto, number one name in all of South Florida sports history. There's no doubt. No doubt about it. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony in a moment. Ed Garcia, fabulous Texas Roadhouse, and 600 stores. Think about that. And this is. It's one thing you have like 5 or 6 restaurants, and maybe one isn't up to the level of the quality of the others. But so consistent, and that's the mark. People complain, they have a negative label about chain restaurants, and they think, I don't want to go there. It's a chain. We could go to, Lefty's Steakhouse over here and pay 3 times as much for a meal that isn't as satisfying. And then, as you said, they're on top of it. They know their game when it comes to service. So, really, really a great place.
The reason you don't like chain is because you don't get homemade, right? The reason that's what makes chain, you get consistency, but it's prefab.
Yeah.
That's why I appreciate before we even started anything with Roadhouse, they had Tony and me come down there, and it was like, so they do everything from scratch, like the bread, the dressing, everything's from scratch. I was like, okay, well, that's the only downfall of a chain, right? Is that you're not getting that mom or pop
comes frozen on some truck,
The steaks are never, like, nothing's frozen there. Like, everything is from scratch every single day. So now you get consistency, which is a positive of a chain, and then you still get the homemade quality.
Hey, here's a little...
And they're going like old school prices, though. I mean, it's like a 1950s menu. You're looking at go, wait a minute, what is this? $22.95. You got to be kidding me.
Here's a little insight. So the new CEO is a huge, over the top with capital letters and exclamation points, Dolphins fan. And
did you sign him to a lifetime contract?
When, as Lubie saw, you and I saw Lubie.
Tell them to buy the team.
They make their own salad dressing from scratch.
Right.
They are told, the mandate is that when they stir the new vinaigrettes or whatever it is, the blue cheese dressings, whatever the new dressings it is.
Yeah.
What the mandate is, they have to stir it 72 times.
Oh, really? You never told me.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah.
All right, we have to talk about that. Because, you're being interviewed all over the country internationally now for this 72 team. That's kind of interesting. And, it was only 1 year later that we had our last championship, which I keep trying to do the math. What is that? 27 plus 22. 49 years ago.
It's 50 years.
That was real hard. That was real hard to do, seeing that it's the 50th anniversary of the 72 team.
Wow. And 49 years of
minus one.
Yeah,
Man, that's
but you don't want to think it. That's why.
That's high level math right there.
That's why
championship level. What do you think about my theory about dating younger women? Do you take your age? How old are you now, Tony? You take your age. What are you, 70?
I'm 72.
72. Okay, so you take your age, you divide it in half. That would be 36. Now, if you were on the market, which you're not, obviously happily married for years, but if you were to take up a new relationship, and you were thinking, okay, I met this younger woman, then the bottom line would be you can't go any lower than 43 years old to have a meaningful relationship. At 72.
Big difference.
Like, don't be looking for some 24-year-old babe, because it's just not going to work. Your age, divided in half, add 7 years. I'm telling you, if you study this, Tony, this is a number that's better than anything that Bill James ever came up with in the baseball abstract.
You need a job.
Yes, he does need a job.
I could use
He's
a
never
job,
considered
that's for
that.
sure.
That's
Yeah. Maybe I'll
that's
start
the
teaching
problem.
classes at
He's never
FIU.
considered this thing.
Broadcasting, modern day broadcasting with Jeff DeForest. All right, we got Tony here, and we're going to go more old school. And Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest, the Defo Show here, South Florida Live. Back with more old school with Tony Segreto in a moment. Now that.
The time.
8:25. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Tony, tell us about your travels, what it's like to be at the airport there 5 hours before the plane.
When you see the number of people carrying bags, some of which are bigger than they are, hoping to put them in that overhead compartment, and the disdain on their face when they're told they can't, the tears they have in their eyes coming down, the streaming, how they have to unpack their bags in front of hundreds of people trying to get on their plane. Oh my, the sadness, the anger, all the emotions are being felt. But nothing better than being at the Detroit Metro Airport, where you can get anything from sushi to the best china and glassware that you can find. But it only happens here in Detroit, the Motor City. Only here will you find the birthplace of the modern automobile.
Defo and Lubie love kicking it old school with the legendary Tony Segreto. Big thanks to Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Rinaldi was not even the gleam in his father's eye when Tony Segreto was delivering soliloquies to kind of dramatic music back in the day there. Who would buy blown glass at an airport unless you were, I guess, getting off a plane and going home?
Yeah, I guess, you know, oh, I forgot a birthday or whatever. But hey, have you been reading about the money that CBS and NBC are going to throw at the Big Ten?
Yeah.
And that what we're talking, first of all, Big Ten's going to walk away like, you know, with the biggest smiles on their face. I mean, they're looking to top $1 billion in
pretty amazing.
Rights. Remarkable.
It's amateur
Absolutely
athletics,
remarkable.
though. Keep that in mind, Tony.
Yeah.
Strictly amateur.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I was going to tell you, you know, about, we talk about college football, open up with cupcakes or whatever.
FSU Duquesne, Jim.
I know.
There's a cupcake.
Yeah.
But FSU could be considered a cupcake. I hate to say it, Lubie, but
we don't know
right
yet.
now they're nothing great yet. Right?
Yeah, we don't know yet. But listen, so I get a call from Orange Bowl about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks ago, and they said, because I'm on the football, you know, I try to build this picture for you. So Orange Bowl has what, 250, 260 members, but
Jeez.
those members are then broken down into different categories in terms
Okay.
of the
Oh,
committees.
so they actually have functions, these guys?
Oh yeah. Oh, this
All right,
is, yeah.
yeah.
This is no. This is
I just thought they were a committee that traveled around to see who was going to play in a game. So
no.
they decided to go to the Rose Bowl to see USC
For
and
example,
UCLA.
I'm on two committees, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on one of the committees is football committee. That's the committee that travels. So I get a call about 3 weeks ago, and they go, are you available the weekend of September 17th? We want to send you to Nebraska for the Nebraska-Oklahoma game.
Of course.
And I said, yeah, sure. They said,
Yeah.
that'd be great. So about a week later, I get a call, and they go, do you mind if we change it up? I go, what's up? They go, we're going to send you someplace else, and we think you'd be,
Hawaii?
No, so I'm actually going to College Station for the Texas A&M Miami game.
What?
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Nice.
Yeah, that's
Which
way
I think is going to be,
Now,
it's
are
gonna
you
be
scouting
fantastic.
these games with the purpose of picking the team that's eventually going to be in the Orange Bowl, or is that kind of set?
No, we're set. I mean, those days
You're
are
getting
long.
the ACC number one team
Yeah,
or whatever.
those days are long gone. We
Okay.
used to do that years ago.
So what's the point of going out to these games?
So you go out. It's all about making your presence known, meeting with athletic directors, meeting with coaches.
Okay.
Talking about Orange Bowl. Just staying. It's keeping brand awareness and goodwill, and that's what this is all about. And that's what the bowls are about anyway. And I think it's important. And I have to tell you, I was at the American Conference Championship last year, the Cincinnati-Houston game, and it was it was huge, obviously a huge game for that conference. You wear that orange jacket, it's you're a rock star. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. It's remarkable how.
So all we have to do is cop some orange
Bowl,
jackets, Lubie and me, and we got Skyline chili on the house for life.
Pretty much.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's remarkable, and rightfully so. The way Orange Bowl does things and the way Orange Bowl handles things, but yeah. So
how long have you been, with this outfit, the Orange Bowl? I mean, you've been associated with it forever, but
a decade,
as part of like a real committee member.
About a decade, yeah. So
okay, good.
Great with great people.
Well, it's good when you got Ed those Michigan tickets, man. That really helped out.
Yeah,
thanks.
That was, yeah. But the money they're talking, the money they're talking about now is remarkable. And NBC and CBS, I think CBS, for example, is kicking itself every single day that it got rid of the SEC.
Yeah.
You think? Yeah.
Oh God.
Vern Lundquist, man. I mean, give me a
break.
I
mean, it's remarkable. So now, when you look at it, Fox is going to win out big with Big Ten.
Yep.
And ESPN dropped out of that running, and they're going to go with Pac-12 and Big 12. And NBC is still negotiating to extend the contract of Notre Dame. So that would be quite a feather in I think NBC and ESPN's hat with what they have, the stable of content that they have. It's remarkable. That portfolio is pretty much unmatched if they can pull this deal off, which it appears as if they will. I mean, we're only 3 weeks away from the opening of the season. I mean, some big games coming up. So I think it's curious to see how teams are thought of right now and ranked right now. And I think it'll all flush out. And I mean, we got a lot of new head coaches, and see how that's going to play.
Nick is pissed off. I mean, he's upset.
Nick's always pissed off.
They were ranked number one. And it's rat poison. All of his players don't give a flying one to practice anymore. They're texting while they're involved in team meetings. I mean, it's fallen apart there for Nick since he got the number one spot. I guess I don't know. I wouldn't have anything to base this on other than the fact that somebody wrote it. But the contention was that Texas A&M and Notre Dame were the two teams that were highly overrated in the early preseason polls. Now, I don't know. It still has impact. I remember, when we really cared about this stuff in town, because the Canes were always a factor, and so were the Gators and FSU, and they'd all be ranked somewhere, like the Canes would be number 1 and the Gators number 5, FSU in there at number 8. So they were all, factors in the national championship run right from week number 1. But if you weren't in that top 15, let's say, you literally had no chance of moving up into that spot because you had to leapfrog too many teams that were ahead of you. that were able to maintain and sustain a 0 or 1 loss record, and somehow ended up with the strength of schedule getting into the college football playoff. Now where do we stand, Tony, with this supposed expansion? Because I actually attended a press conference. We were invited there from the radio station. They just wanted somebody to show their face. I guess the Orange Bowl was hosting this at Hard Rock Stadium, where they had the guy that runs the whole show there for the championship committee. And I forget the man's name, but he
Joe
was like
Hancock? Yeah.
there you go, veteran, like college football or sports administrator, and seemed to really know his stuff. And he sounded adamant that there was no imminent plan to expand the playoff beyond the 4 teams. But then I was reading that it may go to like 16, which a lot of people were kind of screaming about.
I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter.
Is it necessary? I mean, I know it's the
yeah.
money thing, but
I think people want to see more than 4 teams.
Yeah.
I think people are tired.
It's going to be 8 automatically
of seeing Alabama. I mean, they're tired of that Final Four.
But we've seen where the 4th team was like not even at that level, as you mentioned with Cincinnati, last year.
Exactly. But I think if it were 6 or 16, it would all flesh out in a much different way. And I think it's inevitable that it's going to happen. But before that can happen, now the conferences need to get settled. We need to figure out who's going to go where.
Will that ever happen? Yeah. I mean, will they ever be set, etched in stone for a while?
I think again, we go back to the Irish. They're the ones who hold all the cards right now. They're the ones sitting there going, we don't really have to rush to make a decision. And I agree with what people are saying. I think Texas A&M's overrated right now. I think Notre Dame's overrated right now. I just don't know. Listen, at least in Notre Dame's case, new coach, quarterback who's never really started, new offensive line. They're bringing different people in. They lost a lot. And they open up against Ohio State. I mean, my goodness gracious.
0-1.
Listen, if they keep it close, people are going to be putting them in the top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could have 5 losses. My favorite thing. I mean, I like the chaotic, a free system that existed before they had all these qualifiers where you sort of knew that you were going to get the number 1 or 2 team out of some conference,
right,
to compete in these bowl games. Because I always love it when Notre Dame was extended the invitation to play in the Orange Bowl before the season started. And that was like not atypical. And then the entire committee would end up going to every Notre Dame game, during the course of the season as they coddled them along. But I think it's great you're still involved in this, Tony, because you do get to meet these guys and, see what's going on. But, wow, I mean, what a vital transformation. Billions of dollars on the table there from a variety of networks that are falling all over themselves to try and get there with a wheelbarrow full of cash to these new power conferences that are formed, and they're worth like $1 trillion. And yet they people were still trying to contend that these rules that were in place, regulating how schools could assemble their talent, had any relevance whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Regardless of whether you're a Big Ten fan or not, and I'm going back to this Big Ten thing, regardless of whether you're a Big Ten fan or not, if you're a college football fan, I mean, think about that lineup that you would have on Saturday starting at noon, right?
Yeah.
You would have a Big Ten game at noon on Fox. You'd have a Big Ten game at 3:30 on CBS, and then a Big Ten game prime time. And not to mention the ESPN primetime game and whatever else there, the games out west. I mean, we're talking about a day where, boom, we're just, we're sitting there pretty. And then you turn the next day on at the NFL, and you've got it all over again on the pro level. It's remarkable fall weekends.
Will they be wearing DraftKings and FanDuel logos
exactly.
on the college football uniforms when all of these schools sell out to gambling interests? What do you think, Tom? Yeah. That's coming, man. I mean, if they're going to send in all this kind of money there, they're going to want it back.
Eventually, it has to come. Eventually, it has to. And I also see. I know that we did this with Orange Bowl. We've partnered with third party ticket sellers to make sure that we weren't selling bogus tickets, that bogus tickets weren't being sold, because it was happening where people would go to the game with these tickets, go into their seats, and their seats, they weren't real. And these poor people were kicked out of their seats because the people with the real tickets needed to sit there. It's happened to us.
That riot at the soccer stadium.
On a number of occasions. So it's I see it happening. Whether it's FanDuel or not, or DraftKings or not, whoever it is, I see it happening. All I know is that right now, college
you're
football
psyched, Tony. You are so enthusiastic.
I just think I'm excited about.
I'm starting to bubble over with enthusiasm.
I'm excited about. Listen, I really want to see. I'm going to go back to Lubie asking I think it was Lubie asking the question: are the Buffalo Bills that good? I can't wait to see that opening week of the NFL football. Man, we've got some great games, and NBC's got them all. NBC's got two great openers on a Thursday night and a Sunday night of teams you want to see, and teams that'll set the table early to see where we're going and where they fit in the playoffs game.
No doubt. I mean, football's become the number one television sport. And it
was a made-for-TV sport. It was a made-for-TV sport. It really was.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, you can't. I was just even though you think to yourself sometimes, Jesus, I'm watching too much sports, on TV.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that.
And then you think about, well, all right, yeah, I was already thinking, where's a great place to watch like Monday Night Football now?
Exactly.
I mean, where am I going to be lined up? Positioned at some bar somewhere, yelling and screaming and betting on every play, on my telephone account.
That's where you need to go to the Texas Roadhouse, where they have 30 TVs and cold beer.
That place is a good spot. I mean, Tony, you know what? We can't emphasize enough how great those guys are. And the same thing with Catholic Health Services, which. Wow. I mean, what a tremendous organization. I know you've been close with them. We see now some more ads on TV for Catholic Health Services. And yet I don't know that you can really tell the story until you actually experience it, because you're so used to the indifference of the medical world and the healthcare universe now that it's amazing when you come across people like this that actually get involved and really care about their clients and of course, their families and their closest friends that are trying to take care of people.
When you can call a healthcare facility and you're not on hold for 15 or 20 minutes, and then when you finally are off hold, then they have to reroute you to another call. This is where you're still on hold. And then you call Catholic Health Services and you reach a human being within minutes, and you can ask them any question you want, and they are a tutorial and they can guide you as to where to go. That's just the first step on telling you the kind of business that you're dealing with. Not to mention the fact that you're right, Jeff. If you know people who have gone, and you and I, obviously, you've been at it firsthand with your mom, God rest her soul. But if you've had people and I've had people I know who have gone to Catholic Health Services, and they call you and tell you, "Wow, this is even better than you talked about," it just validates everything that you believe and everything that we say right here on South Florida Live. And that is, if you have anything you need in terms of rehab, the only place you need to be is Catholic Health Services, because they will treat you like family. They will treat you with the best care that they could possibly treat you with an expertise, a compassion, and a passion, and a knowledge that will surpass anything you can imagine. And not just you, the patient, but you, the patient's family as well. Because when you are impacted by a rehab issue, whatever that issue is, your entire family is impacted. So when the entire family is brought into this process, to when they're told what they can expect, when they're told what they can do to make it better for you when you come home, and this happens every day, it only makes the entire experience better than you could have ever imagined. And that's what happens when you go to Catholic Health Services. All their people are skilled. They do it with a panache and a class and an integrity that is absolutely, truly unmatched. And it happens every day at all the Catholic Health Services rehab facilities.
Level of expertise, tremendous. I had a friend, he was just relaying a horror story. He had shoulder surgery, was going through some rehab. The people, had assigned somebody that didn't know what they were doing, that was relatively new at it, and really messed him up. And, he actually regressed during his rehabilitation as opposed to getting better, which, I mean, it's frustrating enough. But then to have like some level of incompetence being promoted by the people that you're trusting with your health care, just, not acceptable. And Of course, as you mentioned, I mean, for the family and friends, I mean, obviously the communication is a huge key, and there's nobody better at it, really. And as you said, Tony, experienced it firsthand. And that made a big difference. And you could say all of the sort of hyperbolic stuff about how great they are, and then I experienced it, and it was like, Tony, man, I don't know that you even emphasize this enough. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really a big difference, and a lot of neurotic instinct goes out the window there when
Yep.
you're getting the straight truth, and you're getting it readily, and with just a forward movement in terms of information. From
Yeah,
Catholic Health
especially
Services.
when you leave that loved one at the facility and you go home, it's sort of like, what's happening to them.
Yep.
I want to know.
Yep.
I want to be able to feel comfortable enough where if I wake up at 11:30 at night, I can call the nurse's station and ask, "How is my loved one doing?"
Yeah.
And they can tell you.
No, they're great, man. They really are. All right, Catholic Health Services, also great. Tony Segreto, more to come here. Old School with Tony Segreto on this Wednesday edition of the show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, South Florida Live, and back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:46.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Obviously, the people here know you very well, Tony Segreto. You were ingrained in many people's childhoods here.
Yep.
They followed you and evolved with you over your 40 years on TV here in South Florida, and everybody loves you. And by the way, you still look the damn same, like
You're
you're
like frustrated.
in the background on a Mickey Mouse Club or something. I mean, and I know you're close to like Cubby or one of those guys, but
Cubby
I mean,
O'Brien.
how is that possible? What are you using? Are you shooting Botox? Are you using that serum from that cantaloupe, Dr. Savant? Because pictures of you look very much the same, Tony Segreto.
Why do you think I'm up here? There's an elixir right here in my in the woods that I have.
You find oil, you're like the Beverly Hillbillies up there.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Exactly. We're on the Dick Clark, Ryan Seacrest diet, whatever that is. Yeah.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
All right. Tony has confirmed that all of New England is abuzz with the reviews from practice of Hiawatha Washington Jr., the new wide receiver, an unknown who was signed by the New England Patriots out of a small JUCO in California. And no, there's always a guy like that you never heard of that everybody's raving about.
And they're asking Belichick if they know his name.
Exactly. Yeah. That'd be great.
What would be funny is if you had a comment on him and said, "Yeah, he's looking pretty good in practice. I don't know, he might make the team."
They made this big deal because they had this 14-year-old reporter or 12-year-old reporter at practice one day recently for the Patriots.
Oh yeah,
and he asked Belichick about fantasy football, and Belichick couldn't even lighten up about it.
Oh yeah, he stiffed the kid with an answer.
He didn't stiff him. He just goes, "I don't believe in it. I don't follow it." Instead of having fun with the young man, he just was he and Saban are cut from the same cloth. They're just cranky.
I don't know about that. Everybody says that Belichick, outside of this persona that he puts forward, because he doesn't want to be bothered. It's like when Shaq used to mumble And it was like, because he didn't want to answer any of these questions.
Yep.
So, so he gives the obligatory answer. He purposely, makes it seem
I
like he's
get
completely
that. I get
disinterested.
that. But we're talking
Yeah.
about a kid here. We're talking
Yeah.
about a young.
But he's supposed to be a great guy outside of that, like a real,
Yeah.
effervescent personality by comparison to,
Yeah,
what you would
effervescent
think.
may be a stretch.
All right,
Effervescent may
that
be a
might be a
stretch.
bit. I couldn't think of a word there, so I tried to come up with something on the fly. But yeah, but I mean, he supposedly is like a kind of an outgoing guy with a sense of humor, and a lot of people like him. Jimmy's famous friends with him, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jimmy love. Listen,
Yeah.
Jimmy, they're all. Yeah, and listen, I trust Jimmy's judgment, and I agree. And they say Saban's the same way.
I believe Saban is always a prick. That would be my. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be dead wrong about that. I don't know Nick Saban outside of that, but he just struck me that way. We were talking about first impressions and, being able to formulate a quick opinion about people, at the beginning of the show there with the relation to, unfortunately, everything that's going on with this Donald Trump, which I was saying, it fascinates me that women are so enamored with this guy who was absolutely as blatantly disrespectful to women as anybody that we've ever seen in his lifetime.
To this day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But somehow, I mean, I put this little thing up on Facebook, Tony, and the response mostly from women was, "Oh God, we need this guy. I love him." It's incredible.
But anyway, I think Patriots fans are still struggling with. Are we Brady and
I think Mac Jones is good though. I believe that. Lubie wants to see him fail. He wants to see him fall on his face.
I think Mac Jones is going to do well. I really do. In that system, I think he's going to wind up doing well.
Very Brady-esque in some ways. So, I mean, you could see some parallels there to the early stages of Brady at quarterback. Now, whether or not he's going to have that level of talent to work with, anytime soon,
right?
That's a whole another question. But I mean, as far as it goes, it looks like they may be onto something. So we'll see. I would be like you. I would anticipate a Dolphin victory in that opening game, and it would be very deflating to see them go out there and lose to the New England Patriots on opening day at home in sweltering, schwitzing heat when they had revamped this lineup. I don't know. I mean, who really did more to enhance their lineup during the offseason than the Miami Dolphins did, except for the fact that, as you said, they're saddled at this point with a big question mark at quarterback, but they don't know that that's not going to work out favorably. And
they have
belief
unknowns.
is that it might. Yeah,
they have unknowns everywhere when you think about it. I mean, other than defense. I mean, think about it. They have.
Lubie says their linebackers suck, which I guess that's a common thought.
That's their weakness is linebacker. But I mean, the Tyndall kid they drafted, people like a lot, and Baker's shown himself to be a legit linebacker. Look, I mean, and I get it, camp doesn't matter, but the fact that every single day we're seeing new highlights of Tua doing the things we question him to do, it makes me feel at least like, okay, that's why we have some excitement. What will happen, who knows? But the fact that McDaniel is very direct, he doesn't dance when answering stuff. He's very open about things. I mean, and the talent. Look, Waddle and Tyreek Hill look very confident, and they're seeing something there that's giving that confidence. So I'm geeked up, man, and it's the first time I'm this excited in a long time. Like literally, I'm trying to think if I guess Ricky Williams, because Williams came in and he really looked good when he was out there. So, and they had that defense with him. So it felt like, okay, this team could do something, but I never trusted Wanstead. For a guy that's never coached before, McDaniel has this thing about him. Like there's some kind of a confidence I have that he won't let them down. I don't know if he'll win games for them, but I don't think he'll lose games for them the way we've seen Philbin and even Sperano, the way Sperano would settle for field goals when it's like, dude, it's 4th and 1 from the 2. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you kicking a field goal? I don't get that from McDaniel. We'll see, but it just gives me a little bit of
Listen, there's no reason to disagree with you, Lubie. There is absolutely zero reason to disagree with you. No, I'm not.
That's a little frightening, Tony.
No. All I'm saying is
think about that.
That we will see. How McDaniel handles being a head coach on game one and first 5-6 games, because it's a whole different game when the entire game is flying at you and you have to make split-second decisions. And how will he handle that? How will he handle all the noise? I agree. There's no reason to think he's not going to handle it great. And I hope, listen, I get a sense from him. Here's my sense is that he's so much more intelligent than most head coaches in terms of he gets it. Jimmy come in. I remember Jimmy coming in and going, listen, I told you this before. I'm going to get my work done. We're going to come in. We're going to come in at a reasonable hour. We're going to leave at a reasonable hour. We're not going to be like, we're not going to have to wear this red badge of courage to prove to people that we're working hard by sleeping here at night and being here at 2 a.m. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So I think McDaniel has that same kind of approach where, listen, I know what I need to do. I have my plan. I have my time management. We're going to get it done. And I think he's going to be okay. I do. I really do. Now, will the players be able to handle that and respond? We'll find out. We'll find out.
Look, I just, when you go down the list of
who's going to make the play? Who's going to make the play?
Big moment. Yes, in the big moment, who makes the play? There you go.
He got it in. He worked that in even to the preseason here. Will you be betting these games? Giants versus Patriots?
No.
Tony Segreto.
No. Preseason, no.
Ravens.
No.
Ravens. There's a theory there with John Harbaugh. Ravens laying 3 and a hook against the Titans, who are in a state of confusion right now. The Tennessee Titans. No action on that?
No action on preseason. I will wait for the regular season to start.
And then you'll be sending it in with some level of confidence, you believe, or
will it be with some level of confidence?
The usual roll of the dice here, where anything can come up, and most likely a 7 at an inopportune time.
It depends on it depends. That first week of college football might be. I'm not sure I want to dip my toe into that one.
Yeah.
But I will be dipping my entire body into the season once we get rolling here.
I love it about you, Tony. I mean, it's fantastic.
He's like itching.
all this, sort of, uplifting,
goes out the window.
Philosophical stuff that you have about the game, and the truth is, you can't wait to start sending it in.
Exactly.
On FSU Duquesne, laying 17.
It feels like
the Seminoles,
A&M. Like he wants to take Miami on the road as an underdog. It feels like.
All right, one final thing, because this is of interest to me, and you were around this team. I've obviously become familiar with many of the people that participated and had the great opportunity to get to know many of the players that were on the '72 Dolphin team, who some of whom were still around in like '81 when I came here. So there was that carryover, and of course Shula was a part of this whole thing. Now it was unprecedented, Tony. The idea of being undefeated. Obviously, no one had done it before. And I don't know. I mean, how aware of this thing? Because nobody could have ever figured that it was going to hold up as it has until now. I mean, 49 years later, still nobody's ever done it. And were the players focused in? We should say zeroed in on this while the season was transpiring, or did they just come to the end of the year and go, "Hey, guess what? We didn't lose a game," and what was it of any significance to them at the time?
Here's the truth. Honest to God truth. It was all about them figuring out a way to lose the horrible taste they had in their mouth from getting their ass kicked by Dallas.
Right. The previous year in the Super Bowl.
And do it for Shula. And do it for Shula because they love Shula. And keep in mind, at that time, Shula lost to Namath in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then he lost.
That was a thrill for me. I mean, that was my favorite game ever.
And then he lost to Dallas. I mean, how many of us who were at that game or saw that game still see Bob Lilly chasing Bob Greasy all over the field? I mean, it was terrible. So for them, that entire season was based on retribution.
Wow.
And I think that I do think this, that there's no question that as the season wore on and they were undefeated and clearly the team that was going to go to the playoffs and get to that would be the team that go to the Super Bowl. The concern then was we don't care whether we will lose a game. We just have to win the big one. And if we win them all, but we don't win the big one, then we're really screwed.
Is that why the 73 team is better? Because playing for vengeance is a lot different than just playing free. And the 73 team had already won a title. They had already gotten over they'd already done the undefeated stuff because people to this day, everyone says 73 was not only better, but way better.
Way better. It was a way better team. But I think maybe during the week you play for vengeance because you're thinking about it. People are telling you. But once that game starts, when you're in the heat of that game, you're not thinking of vengeance. You're just thinking of survival. You're thinking of, I need to get my butt out of here safe. I need to get a win. And I need to put myself in a position where I'm not going to be working my ass off twice as hard next week because I did something stupid. I mean, basically, that's what you're going through in your head. And I want to make sure I'm making the calls. And Shula had this team. This team was so built and so perfect. At the time, did we know? No. But in reflection, built in such a way that the perfect season was almost inevitable for them.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Paul Warfield, a decoy. Imagine that. Paul Warfield was a decoy.
Well, they had 3 backs that all could rush for
decoy.
Remarkable.
My God.
And when you think of the players that were on that team and how successful they all have been in their own way. There were a few exceptions.
Good guys.
All fantastic.
Good guys, real.
I mean, I still talk to them. I still talk to Larry and Merck and all those guys.
They always make you feel good too. I mean,
they do.
It really is something. Yeah, I'm very proud of that association.
Yeah, so that's kind of my breakdown. I mean, we could go into it game by game and all of that, but there was no question that as the season wore on, the people the media saying, "Oh, you're undefeated," got to everybody.
Yeah,
but it was the listen. We don't care if we're undefeated. We need to win the big one. And then they go, to Pittsburgh, right? And they're losing. They bring Greasy back in. Remember, he was out. Earl started that game. They bring Greasy in, and Seipel pulls the play of the year that people still don't talk enough about. And when he comes off the sideline, Shula looked at him and said, "Man, oh man, if you didn't make that, you probably should never have even come back to this sideline." So
don't be ad-libbing on Don Shula unless it works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Tony, a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun today. That's great. We'll look forward to seeing that. We'll find that somewhere. Your interviews about the 72 team 49 years ago. Was 73. Was the last time the Dolphins won a championship. So let's hope for better things this year. We'll find out a little bit more. I don't know what insight we'll get into it on Saturday, but maybe we'll see something. So
by the way, Jeff, I want to tell you we're doing a luncheon for Hank. And we'd love for you to be a part of it.
I'd love to come down to that. That'd be great.
Yeah. So I will give you. We're actually doing it the day of the game where the 72 teams being honored.
Oh yeah. At the game?
No, we're doing it at Joe Stonecrab's actually.
Oh, I'm in. I'm 100% in.
Yeah, so it's October 23rd. And nice. So I just wanted to give you a heads up.
I put that on my social calendar. Yeah,
no, I will send you the information as soon as I get it.
The highest of regard for Hank Goldberg was good to me from the first day I landed in town, and wow, it'd be a pleasure to be there and reminisce with people all of the variety of Hank stories, of which there are many, and variety would be the key word there. All right, Tony, we love you. Thanks, Catholic Health Services, of course, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Ed Garcia was brilliant today. Lubie, always a lot of fun. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll have
the lunchbox.
Mike Mayo's lunchbox. Yeah, wow.
The sandwiches he stuffed down. He ate 3 sandwiches yesterday. By the end of the month,
I'm concerned about Mike Mayo. I am. No, I am. I
am too.
He's at a critical turning point in life. I'm going to get him that John Mayo album, The Turning Point, and just have him listen to it over and over and over and over again and see what he derives from it. Because he's got to balance it out with some kind of exercise. And he had a quick interest in getting in shape, like a one-day passing interest when that babe was all over him at that barbecue thing. And there he was, judging a food contest. I mean, come on, Mike. Now he has to eat this stuff. I mean, it's part of his job, I guess.
That's fine.
Wow, you see a lot of fat chefs, but it's not that. It's just he's got to balance it with some exercise. Sarney and I are going to buy him a tennis racket.
Okay, that's the move. I like that.
I don't know if he liked playing ball his whole life, but I mean, does he strike you in his conversations as a guy that like getting out there and playing like a lot of recreational, ball?
I mean, if he talks, he covered sports, so he had to play
Yeah,
at some.
he had to be interested in it. No, I mean, you
Had
would
to be
have
at
to
some
think.
point.
I could
Yeah.
see him playing second base and batting second, hitting the ball in the right field. There, guy gets on first base. Boom, there's Mayo with a double down the right field line. And the runner scores, or else a nice little single there at the right side, and moves the guy over to third. All right, well, we'll have Mike with us at 12 o'clock today, and he's been eating a sandwich a day. Yesterday, he ended up. I mean, how did he weasel his way into this situation? Right, he has his friend go out to the pizza spot, grab a chicken parm sub and a meatball parm sub,
He got
and he
both.
eats them both, all of them.
And then later he had like a bacon. It was a grilled cheese, but he threw.
Oh
I've never
yeah. Then
grilled
he's
cheese
playing
with
poker.
bacon. Like I've had grilled cheeses, but like who throws bacon in
A casino grilled cheese sandwich, which,
with bacon in it?
it's questionable whether this
You're
cheese,
just
was what substance was in originally. All right, we'll have Mike coming your way at 12 o'clock. He loves to eat on the air too. I mean, he's mastered it. To the point now where he doesn't even say anything. He just like shovels a sandwich in his face as soon as the show starts, and we're like, "Yeah, Mike, yeah, it's good. Why don't we go down to the pizza spot and have one too?" All right, well, we'll see you at 12 o'clock then with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox,
Rebuild
and
the
of course
trivia
tomorrow with the
challenge
Highland
tomorrow.
Park Trivia Challenge. Dave Gurgles Grigley on that one. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Tony Segreto, thanks so much. Always a pleasure being with you, and we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.